Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melanieannemarshall and I'm really excited to be making this video for you today. So I am a senior at the University of Washington. It is my last quarter here. I'm graduating in December early, so this is very exciting. I've had some time to really practice my strategies and see what works best for me. And I think that these tips can sort of be used across many different classes, and I want to share this with you because I think it'll help a lot. The first step in getting a good grade is taking notes that are eligible and useful for study material for when you take exams. I have some notes here that I've actually pulled from many years, like sometimes in high school, also sometimes in college. I mean, really, I don't even remember now which ones are from high school, which ones are not, but I do know I was looking in these classes, I got a 3.9/4.0 out of 4.0 in. So these notes really do help quite a bit, and it's just how I've been effective, so I really want to share with you what I did. So to start off the bat, as you can see, I always start off by saying, okay, like what's the date? The 5th chapter, lesson 1. So change in demand versus change in quantity demand. What I always do then is whenever there's something that I feel like is important or the professor will keep talking about, expand upon, or give an example, that usually means that it's something that's important. So I will always put a question next to it, and if they say the law of demand is a statement only about the slope, you know, the location of demand curve is a statement of how yada yada yada, then they give you a graph. So usually when there are graphs, that means that it's something important, or if there is some sort of a picture or anything along the lines of more information, that means it's most likely going to be something that's on the exam. So you want to make sure that you know these things. So I always will put, stars next to something that's important. I'll do some underlining, I'll do different colors of pens, I'll do highlighters. Usually the highlight is the answer for the question that I put on the left-hand side of the page. Here's like another example in my management and leadership class where I really use colors, like a lot of colors and highlights and all that jazz, because this class, was very vocab heavy. And this was my freshman year, I think, of college. So I was really heavy on the highlights and everything like that. And then I believe the others that I showed you were more recent, so I wasn't as crazy on them. But as you can see, there's a lot of vocab here. So I did a lot of questions, which is totally fine, and it's good, especially if you don't know the definitions or you need to memorize them verbatim. Because sometimes my teachers will change one word to make it different, you know what I mean? But this is a really helpful way of taking your notes, because it serves as a study guide and also as a really nice tool because you're able to see all of your notes in one place. And when I don't do this, sometimes I also use Quizlet, especially if it's a vocab heavy class, if it's not something where I have to I don't know, if it's just like vocab or memorization, I use Quizlet. But for classes that are more, in the depths of knowing the material, then, I will always resort to taking really good notes. So whenever there's something that, I'm not quite sure about, I'll always do a question mark that says like question or something along the lines of that. I'm going to try to find that example. But sometimes I'll just, do little things here that, say read chapter of four examples of tax in a different color, so like what to do before the exam. And trust me guys, this is so nice on an exam because you can put everything on there and it's just really nice and handy dandy. So yeah, I always highlight the most important things. And I always get a small pen. That makes it really easy to write small. And that's usually what I do there. And usually what I do is I create both of these. So I have my notes with questions, study questions, and then I have a cheat sheet that's sort of a master sheet of everything. So on the exam, you know, it's not like I have questions on here. It's just the formulas, it's some questions maybe that I had problems with, and just the main things that I know I'm gonna need on the exam. Something that's not already stuck in my head, or it's something that, you know, I just wanna make sure I have just in case. And then sometimes I also will, you know, type things up or record. Sometimes I will type things up and create a typed study sheet. You can do whatever works best for you, whatever your preference is. There's no wrong way of taking notes. So creating these actually is a study tactic in itself. So a lot of the time you're going to know the material because you're writing it down. So then when it comes to actually creating a study guide, or if your class allows you to have a sheet of paper where you can put things on, you have it all right here, and then you can create something that looks like this. And the first step usually the students struggle with, I've noticed at least, is that they don't even know what to put on their piece of paper when teachers give them the opportunity to actually bring something with them on the exam. Now, I know that a lot of this can be daunting to people, taking all the notes that you've learned in a year or in a quarter or in a semester and then cramming it all into your brain for one exam. It can be sort of overwhelming. They either try to cram everything on that note sheet, or they just don't put really anything at all, and then they're just sitting there being like, I don't know how to do this, when really all you gotta do is study the material, create good notes, and review them, study them, and then put whatever you don't know onto a sheet of paper. And even if you can't bring it to the exam, at least you're going to have a master sheet of paper where you're going to be able to visually see everything that you don't know in one place. Once you have all of your notes, the first thing you're going to do is go through all your notes and read all the questions that you created on the left-hand side. And what you're going to do is put a check mark next to the questions that you don't know automatically. So you're going to go through all your notes, all the questions that you've already written. Once you go through, you know, and answer all those, you know, questions in your head or on paper, what you're going to do next is then go back and see, okay, what are the checked questions that I was unsure about, and read the answers to those questions. And then after you do that, take a break. Let your mind just sort of settle on what you've just absorbed, and then come back in a few hours or the next day and see if any of it has actually been absorbed and if you know it really well. So go through the same questions, but only the checked ones this time. So then you're going to just see, okay, how well do I actually know these questions now that I've already went through them once, the previous day or a couple hours ago. And then the ones that still don't stick to you, put another check mark. So now the ones that have 2 check marks next to them, you're going to really want to focus on those ones. And then take another break, maybe have a snack or something like that. But there should be significantly less amount of things that you don't know. So go back to the ones with 2 check marks and go through them again. See if you know them any better now. And, you know, interact with your notes, interact with the content. If you don't know the answer to something, you can create acronyms. If something was like sun, moon, stars, it would be like SMS type of a thing, you know what I mean? So then your brain can at least be like, okay, something that started with an S and it has to do with like Earth and oh stars, okay. And then like something that has to do with another like planet, oh, the moon. You know what I mean? Like it sort of triggers your memory if you remember the acronym. So that's what I do. Sorry guys, my phone died. But what I was saying is that once you know exactly the acronyms and everything that you don't remember in your mind after the 3 check marks, you're going to put those on your study sheet and you're going to use that and bring that to the exam, or you're going to look it over right before the exam starts so that you have a nice idea and refresher of everything that you need to know in order to ace that exam. Alright you guys, I hope that this helped, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and feel free to share in the comment section below how you effectively study for exams. Sending you all lots of peace, love, and happiness. Bye you guys, have a great day.